Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Accidental Beauty. If you're new, welcome. My name's Laura. I post videos once a week, mainly about makeup and sometimes about hair, fashion, lifestyle, beauty, skincare, all that good stuff. So if that's your thing, feel free to subscribe to my channel. That would be really appreciated. Today, I am going to be continuing my series of convincing myself not to buy this palette. So today, I am going to see if I really need the Jeffree Star Cremated palette. It's his newest palette. It's all gray. So if you want to hear my thought process, see how I did this look inspired by the palette, then please keep on watching. Alright, so a bit of background before I actually get into the tutorial. Okay, so first off, let's talk about the palette. This is what it looks like, in case you haven't seen anything that's been going on in the makeup world. This is pretty much like, there aren't that many products launching right now during, the pandemic situation, so, it's kind of big news. And also it's Jeffree Star, so everything he does is kind of big news. Alright, so this is what the palette looks like, 24 shades. Don't need to go into too much detail. I've also got the swatches from the palette, so that's what I'm going to be using as a reference when I try and recreate a look inspired by the palette. That's going to be my guide. I'll briefly get into the controversy of this palette, but you can watch a plethora of videos out there that go into this topic a lot deeper than I will. Basically, the palette is called Cremated. All the shades have to do with death and burial and things like that. It's very... Jeffree said he wanted to make it very sort of like dark, vampy, gothic, like that type of theme. And it's sort of the polar opposite to the Jawbreaker palette, which is all like about candy and it's bright and colorful and, it kind of makes you happy inside. This is a bit of a downer. And obviously, with everything that's been going on in the world, it made a lot of people upset. It sparked a lot of controversy. I agree it was very poor timing for its release, but without making excuses, I'll just kind of say what Jeffree said in his defense, because there was a lot of controversy and a lot of people attacking Jeffree on Twitter and other forms of social media. So basically, he said he delayed the palette once. I think it was supposed to come out in April, and he delayed it to the end of May. And then he could have delayed it further till the fall, which would make sense for a palette like this to come out just because of the color scheme. It's kind of reminds you of Halloween. But he didn't want to do that because obviously the longer you let makeup sit out, the more it starts to not decay, but it just gets older. It might not perform as well. And Jeffree said he didn't feel comfortable putting out a product that was old. He wanted it to come out in a reasonable amount of time so that, the product wouldn't get stale or whatever, which I totally understand, wanting to put out high quality products for your consumers. He has a very loyal customer base and obviously doesn't want to disappoint them or do anything negative towards them, which I totally respect. But the theme and the timing, I don't know where I stand with this. It's it definitely is in poor taste, but I feel like the people who are going to buy his palette are going to buy it regardless of how shocking or offensive it might be. I've been kind of not it really matters with my 260 odd subscribers. I'm just a nobody, but I'll put my opinion out there anyways. I have been getting... this has been an ongoing thing where I've kind of been... I'll still watch all of Jeffree's videos. I do find them entertaining. And I love his creativity and seeing, what he comes out with each release. It's just so different. His brand is always very different than anything else on the market. Just the way that he arranges shades, the shade names, the color choices are just very unique. Despite all that, I watch many of the drama channels and, I'm aware of stuff that he's said and stuff that he's done in his past, the people that he's associated with, so on and so forth. And just with more and more of that coming out and just watching more and more videos about it, and the fact that he doesn't directly address a lot of those things just makes me very uncomfortable to purchase from him anymore. So I'm definitely going to still use what I have from him because I really do enjoy those products. It just kind of puts a bit of a bad taste in my mouth, so I don't know how I feel about purchasing from him going forward. He's sort of addressed these things, but he hasn't directly, like, I feel like it's in his best interest to just put out like a, kind of like my truth video on his channel and just address the things that people are saying about him and just formally apologize for the things that he said and done and the people that he's associated with. Just like once and for all, just set the record straight and say, I'm not that person anymore, which he has said, but I don't know, I feel like it would look better as a public figure to just put out a full statement in his own words and, talk directly to the camera because he has such a connection with his fans, address all the issues that people have with him, all the things that he's done and said, and move on from it. So I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. So the reason why I followed him and subscribed to him for so long and, bought his makeup is because I like to take people at face value. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt and believe what they say about themselves, rather than hearing it from a third party sort of like gossip rumor stuff where maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but you don't have all the facts. So I like to, in general, if someone is telling me something, a story or something that they did, whatever, I like to, give them the benefit of the doubt and believe them. That's kind of like where I've been for the past few years watching Jeffree's videos and buying his makeup and stuff. And, he always talks about he promotes positivity and, he whatever is a changed person and things like that. So I was like, okay, he seems to do good things. He donates to a lot of charities. He, in the past has said some very, very offensive racist things towards especially Black women. So the fact that on his channel he's always talking about, I don't know, things like when makeup brands don't have a wide enough shade range for darker skinned people, I'm like, okay, that seems like he is different than the old Jeffree that was, calling Black people like racist slurs and things like that. So I was like, okay, he seems like a different person. Then there's the stuff coming out about his relationship or friendship with Davi Vanity and how his interview with Chris Hansen he seemed to be not telling the whole truth and just kind of avoiding answering or deflecting questions, and it just seemed like there was something he was hiding, and it doesn't make him look good. So just more and more things that are coming out, I feel a bit uncomfortable. So anyways, that was a long-winded way of saying I am not going to be buying this palette anyways. And also, I hate this palette. I'm going to say this up front. I really hate this palette. It's all gray and silver. Okay, I do love silver eyeshadow, but it's all gray and that's really boring to me. I looked at this palette, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Jeffree putting out a gray palette, that is the most boring thing I've ever heard. I'm not interested. The metallic shades look absolutely stunning, but I don't need to buy a 24 pan eyeshadow palette that's probably close to $70 Canadian just for some really nice metallic shades. I can find those anywhere. So I'm not going to be buying this palette, but when Jeffree announced this palette, he said he wanted to go for a kind of gothic, witchy kind of vibe. And even when I saw the promo photos, I really do love that kind of dark, moody, gothic aesthetic, but at the same time I love my colors. So yeah, I never was planning on buying this palette anyways. I just kind of wanted to see if I could create a look inspired by the palette, because the odd time I want to dabble in gray looks. It's definitely not a day-to-day thing for me at all. I really I feel most at ease and at home and comfortable when I'm wearing bright eyeshadow and bright colors in general, but specifically bright makeup. Whenever I'm wearing kind of more neutral, toned down makeup, not as comfortable. Even if it looks nice, it doesn't feel like me. So even like looking at this, like I like my makeup, but I look like a different person. It's weird. So yeah, I guess I just wanted to challenge myself and see if I could create a look inspired by the palette, if I actually did have any shades that were close at all to the shades in the palette. So this was just kind of a creative exercise for me, since I had so much fun doing this challenge in a previous video where I did a look inspired by each of the Norvina Pro palettes. So you can watch that video, I'll link it in the corner. I just kind of wanted to challenge myself creatively. I think this is probably going to be a series. I'd like to do this with a lot of different palettes because I really had fun the first time. I really had fun this time. That was a really long-winded intro. Let's just get into the tutorial. I'm so uninspired to make this. Like, it's just like grays do absolutely nothing for me. But okay, let's see if I can try and match some of these shades in my collection. We're going to be working with the BH Cosmetics Foil Eyes 2 palette. Lots of cool tone like blues and grays. This really cool grayish purple color that it's sort of similar to a shade or two in the palette. We've got one black shade in the Jaclyn Hill palette, so probably won't be using that. Probably gonna dip into a couple in Blue Blood. Got this one. That's kind of navy. Thought I had more gray shades in my collection, but evidently I don't. We got one grayish shade. Okay, so this is gonna be a little challenging. I'm thinking just like a very bold, dramatic, shimmery, smoky eye, since I have a lot more shimmery, like metallic foiled gray shades than I actually do have mattes. So I'm probably gonna overcompensate with the foiled shades. Let's just jump in.
Best days passes by, and most long for a place that they never find. I'm afraid I wake up when I die, and it is too late to climb any mountain. Time is of the essence, the blood running through our core. It's best to not feel sorry when it's over. Will be the greatest that you've ever seen before, and I'll stay eternal. Run out when things don't go to plan. I kinda lose my mind. I hope it's real. This life comes around. Just keep your faith and search for the fountain. Time is of the essence, the blood running through our core. It's best to not feel sorry when it's over. Will be the greatest that you've ever seen before, and I'll stay eternal. When it's over, I will be the greatest that you've ever seen before, and I'll stay
Okay, I am back. This is the final look. So this is the way the look turned out. I changed into a bit of a more like sort of gothic Lolita dress just to kind of go with the whole vibe. Put on a blonde wig. I really wanted to put on like a black or brown wig. I don't own any brown wigs, and the only black wig I have is at my apartment and it's pretty short. So I don't know. I wanted something more neutral since this is a very, well, neutral, desaturated look. So I didn't want any bright colors sort of conflicting or interfering or contrasting with the look. So I don't know, I think this works nicely. All right, so let's take a look at the palette and see how I did. Okay, so we have some of the lighter gray, silver. I tried to get so we have a matte black, which I definitely used. And then I tried to kind of get that shade that's next to the black, what's it called? Angel of Death. That one's a glitter, it looks like. Or maybe it's just a very foiled shade. I don't have anything like that in my collection, so I kind of tried to layer a bunch of things on the outer V. I think I did an okay job. Like, it's definitely close to the color. Obviously, I'm not going to get the exact color without, you know, having that exact shade. In the crease, I kind of messed up. I wanted to do some graphic liner. I'm really bad at it, and I totally messed up. So I wanted to kind of take my regular wing liner and then bring it into the crease. You know what? I should probably practice without a full done eyeshadow so that when I do have eyeshadow on, I can actually do a proper look. So I really messed it up on this eye. This eye wasn't terrible. This eye was really, really bad. You know what? I'll just throw a clip on screen of what happened. It looked really bad, so I tried to cover it with black eyeshadow because I had put some really faded black eyeshadow in my crease, mixed it with a sort of pinky gray shade from Blood Sugar, and all that really ended up doing was darkening my crease, so then the blending isn't that great anymore. Black is really hard to blend, and I know Jeffree mentioned that in his video, but it's really tough to blend. So it kind of got a bit smokier, a bit spookier, a bit more gothy, which I'm not mad at. I just wish my blending wasn't sacrificed or compromised because of it. Okay, let's take a look at some of the lighter shades. So I really don't have very many grays or silvers in my collection. I have very, very few. I don't actually have, I don't think, no, I have one gray and I didn't bring it with me because I didn't want to bring the whole palette. Yeah, it might have come in handy for this look. Okay, that shade, what's it called? Solemnly Swear, sort of like a bluish looking gray. So there's a similar shade in Blue Blood that I used underneath my, like on my lower lash line. I think it worked pretty nicely. Like in person, it does look a lot more blue, but looking at it from a distance, I feel like it's pretty close. And then there were a lot of matte whites and some metallic, like white silver colors in the palette. I tried to use the closest shades that I had to highlight, and I ended up getting the foiled white shade in Blue Blood called Cullinan. It's funny, it looks white, and depending on what other shades you use with it, it can look white, but because I guess I was using more neutral shades, it really pulled blue, so I tried to use it kind of as an inner corner highlight and then to highlight the inner portion of my eye, and it just kind of made it look like a bluish silver. So I kind of had to go over that with just a white metallic shade from the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette. Still looks kind of blue, but I don't know. There are a couple shades in the palette that look, I guess, blue-ish. It's so hard to tell. Yeah, so that's the only area, like kind of the inner corner portion, that I'm not super confident that it looks like the palette, but I mean, it's a gray palette, so like I guess as long as you have colors within that, I don't know if you'd call it a color family, but grays and silvers, I feel like you're okay. So does this look make me want to buy the palette at all, since I really struggled finding the right shades of gray? No. Like, grays are really not my thing. Like, I mean, I do like the way that this look turned out. I really want to do more sort of silvery gray, smoky, goth makeup looks more often, but it's something that I really don't gravitate towards, so I never do them. Oh, I forgot to mention, so my lips, I don't have black lipstick, so the closest thing that I have is a very, very dark purple. So I use that as my base, and then I use the metallic black from the BH Cosmetics Foiled Eyes 2 palette, and then layered on some of the silver, which is pretty much on most of my eyelid, in the center area, kind of like as an ombre highlight effect. I think it looks pretty cool, actually. Like, I would totally wear this for a photo shoot or something. This is really cool. And I know that there are lipsticks that look like this, but I don't really need to buy one. Like, the only time I'm literally gonna wear a lip like this is for a photo shoot or maybe on like Halloween or something, but other than that, this is not a daily shade for me, but I do like it. I feel like doing these videos, I'm finding new techniques that work for me and kind of like little hacks that I can use when I don't have a certain color or product, so I feel like that's really cool. Okay, so back to the palette. Like, I really hate this palette. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's really not for me. So this look doesn't make me want to buy it at all. It's just when I do need a gray shade, I don't have a lot of options. So I'm like almost tempted to get like either a small like 4-9 pan palette or something like that, or just a couple single shadows of like a couple grays just to kind of round out that area of my collection. But I feel like I managed fine today, so I probably could work with what I have. I mean, obviously I did work with what I have and I think it turned out okay. This witchy look is like really cute. Like, I love doing these like gothic looks. I don't know, I'm just super into that. Even though I'm normally full of like bright colors, I like experimenting with other things from time to time. Yeah, so definitely I don't need this palette. I really don't want this palette. I don't even know if I want to support Jeffree Star like moving forward, whether I'm gonna buy any more of his products. Definitely don't need it, but I created a look that seems closely inspired by this palette, so I think I'm okay without it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of this look, if you think that I came close to the palette at all, or if I'm totally off. If you guys did buy this palette, and you've used it before, let me know if you think I came close at all to the palette. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.